I transmigrated into the vicious female supporting character of a tragic novel. It's a wealthy CEO Mary Sue novel, the kind where someone casually offers you $1 billion to make someone disappear from their sight. According to the original plot, I would keep causing trouble in front of the male lead out of jealousy for the female lead, ultimately leading to my own demise. I looked at my meticulously styled appearance down to the last strand of hair. Then glanced at the female lead's faded t-shirt, jealous of the female lead, me. In the early morning, I woke up on my 8-square-meter bed in my 80-square-meter room within an 800-square-meter villa. I pressed the call button by the bedside and informed the butler that I was awake. Breakfast consisted of fresh steak and eggs airlifted from Continent A in the early morning. I took my seat gracefully and began my meal. Yes, as you can see, this is a Mary Sue CEO romance novel, unfortunately. I'm not the CEO, I'm the CEO's rival, a classic villainess. At the end of the story, I will end up tragically homeless on the streets after the male lead declares that the weather has turned cold and it's time for my family to go bankrupt. Ultimately, I'll have to share an apartment in the city center and survive on a meager monthly salary of 10,000 yuan. Seriously, you call being homeless with 10,000 a month? Then what does my real-life salary of 4,000 yuan a month count as? Does that count as me begging on the streets? What's wrong with sharing a rental? Shared rentals in the city center are also very expensive. I was devastated, but I quickly accepted reality, because I saw the balance in my bank account was longer than my bank password. By the way, I was referring to my mobile banking login password. The butler had brewed the black tea, and I picked up the cup, ready to take a sip, when I suddenly remembered the description from the novel. The butler had thoughtfully prepared a cup of 82-year-old Darjeeling tea from the foothills of the Himalayas. I silently put down the cup, throw away all the tea in the warehouse and purchase a batch that was just released this year. As you wish, miss. The butler gave me a standard bow, elegant, simply too elegant. After finishing breakfast, I walked out of my magnificent Golden Gate, where my driver had already parked my Rolls-Royce at the entrance, ready to take me to school. With elegant, small steps, I pulled open the passenger door and plopped myself into the seat. Turning my head, I saw the butler frozen in the act of holding open the rear door, staring at me in bewilderment. Oh no, I forgot I'm the young lady of the house. I cleared my throat lightly to hide my embarrassment. Today, I want to experience the view from the passenger seat. It feels so novel. The butler's expression seemed to crack a little. It's fine, in a wealthy, domineering CEO Mary Sue story. It's perfectly reasonable for the villainess to do something foolish. I comforted myself. I arrived at the globally top-ranked aristocratic school described in the book. It was also the school where the plot unfolded, where the protagonists loved each other, didn't love each other, loved someone else, were loved in return, and then fell out of love again. On the plaque at the school gate, several large characters were printed in a dazzling golden hue: Terralink, Slibby, Tingelhot Middle School. Such a long name, hard to remember. I asked the butler, does it have any abbreviation? The butler replied, yes, miss, you can take the initials and call it Tasting University. The butler proudly lifted his head, basking in the golden light reflected by the school's name. I'm on the verge of breaking down. According to the plot, today is the first day the female lead transfers to this school. She will be looked down upon, bullied, and isolated by everyone because of her poverty, and I, the villainess, am the one leading the charge in isolating her. But as I looked at the petite female lead on the podium, I couldn't understand why anyone wouldn't like her. She had a face that looked like it was sculpted by a 3D model, her eyes fluttering as she timidly glanced over the crowd below the podium. She began her self-introduction, her voice soft and gentle. Hello everyone, my name is Su Wanwan. Her eyelashes were so long, I felt like I could swing on them. I want to be her desk mate. Who doesn't like a sweet and gentle girl? I don't want to see her, like in the original story, being physically and emotionally tormented by the male lead, only to give her all and still end up happily together. Isn't that Stockholm Syndrome? But I don't know how to attract her, so I gave a wicked smile. Woman, what are you looking at? You've successfully caught my attention. I'll allow you to be my desk mate. The whole class turned to look at me in unison, even the male lead, whose eyes held 3 parts indifference, 3 parts cold arrogance, and 4 parts nonchalance, was stunned. Sorry, I stole your line. You guys have no idea how much fun it is to hang out with Su Wanwan. She would seriously teach me how to do test papers, and when I finally understood a basic question after half an hour, she would stare at me with her deer-like eyes and say, "You're amazing, you learn so quickly." During breaks, she would place a candy in my palm and give me a sweet smile, saying, "This candy is your favorite strawberry flavor, it's for you." She would secretly slip me a heating pad during evening self-study. "How come you didn't prepare anything for your period?" "Luckily, I brought some heating pads for you, use them for now, and I'll make you some brown sugar water after self-study ends." At this moment, I can't help but want to drag the male lead, who's sleeping at the back of the classroom, up and show him a set of the 18 dragon subduing palms. Then punch his head until it explodes. How could you bear to mistreat such an adorable female lead? How could you bear to mistreat her? Su Wanwan followed my gaze toward the male lead, her eyes now filled with nothing but indifference. The first plot point of the novel is that the female lead, while working as a waitress in the male lead's family restaurant, accidentally pushes a food cart into the male lead and falls into his arms. Su Wanwan lost her balance, let out a cry of, "Oh no," and fell backward, right into Long Batian's arms. Long Batian narrowed his eyes slightly. "Ha, what a clumsy performance." He had seen too many women throwing themselves at him. Without a word, he pushed Su Wanwan away. A seed of disgust took root in his heart. The female lead is so adorable, yet he still pushes her away. I don't understand. Could this be an additional cost? When I arrived at the restaurant, Su Wanwan was pushing a food cart and preparing to turn a corner. The male lead also happened to walk to the corner. "Wait a moment." I extended my air Kong hand. No one paid any attention to me. The male and female leads still collided with each other. But the plot seems a bit off. Su Wanwan's food cart was fully loaded, and due to inertia, it almost sent the male lead flying 2 miles away. Long Batian lay on the ground, egg yolk dripping from the top of his head. He slowly spoke. "Very well, woman, you have succeeded. I know you really want to succeed, but hold off on succeeding for now." I hurriedly interrupted the spellcasting. Long Batian glared at me. "Do you believe that with just one phone call, I can make your family go bankrupt?" Me, "Do you believe that with just one phone call, I can make your family's restaurant shut down?" Long Batian sneered lightly, looking me up and down. "Just relying on your Lin family." I picked up the phone. "Hello, my name is Lin Ruyan. I am reporting a restaurant for employing child labor. The address is..." Thanks to the female lead, who skipped 2 grades, I'm now in my 2nd year of high school and still not yet 16. I grinned wickedly at Long Batian. "Take your bankruptcy declaration and go talk to the Industrial and Commercial Bureau." In wealthy, domineering CEO Mary Sue's stories, there is never any law, but I have it. Su Wanwan's job was ruined by me. She was sobbing and crying in front of me. After a moment of thought, I invited her to be a tutor at my home. She stopped crying and started giggling with a tinkling laugh. My pupils trembled with shock. I recalled the description from the book. Su Wanwan let out a silvery, bell-like laugh. At this moment, the words from the book materialized before my eyes. I figured that, with the added buff of a wealthy CEO Mary Sue novel, I could have the butler offer Su Wanwan a monthly salary of 50,000, even taller than my supervisor in real life who made us work 25 hours a day. The butler nearly dropped his gold-rimmed monocle. "As you wish, miss." As I passed by the kitchen, I overheard 2 maids whispering. "Miss seems to hold Miss Sue in high regard, so why is the pay so low?" Exactly, I earn 300,000 a month. I really can't understand how one can live on 50,000. How much? Did you say how much? Damn author, are you writing in Vietnamese dong? I decided to take Su Wanwan shopping, for no other reason. In the wardrobe prepared for Su Wanwan, there were only 3 of her faded t-shirts. Walking into the luxury boutique, she took off her sunglasses with a commanding air and pointed randomly. "Not this, not this. Not this. Wrap up everything else for me. Money is just a number to me." Once, in a dream where I won 5 million in the lottery, that's exactly how I spent it. I never imagined that my current experiences would be bolder than my dreams. Su Wanwan pulled me back. "Miss, let it go, let it go." Su Wanwan was picking out clothes. Every time she opened the fitting room door and stepped out, I would feel my eyes light up. one light after another. It turned out the fitting room lights were brighter than outside, but she really was beautiful. Even an ordinary dress looked like an evening gown on her. Each time she changed, she would gaze earnestly into my eyes and smile sweetly, asking, "Does it look good, beautiful, absolutely divine?" I praised her honestly. Su Wanwan seemed even happier, humming a cheerful little tune off-key, her steps as she tried on clothes becoming even more lively. I'm really good at comforting people. No doubt about it when it comes to emotional value. Look how happy the female lead is now, unaffected by the male lead and spending time with me. I'm even starting to ship us a little. I picked out 17 or 18 outfits for Su Wanwan. I wanted to select everything, but Su Wanwan didn't agree. The sales assistant packaged it for me, and without thinking, I picked it up directly. It was a bit heavy, but I pretended it was easy to carry. After all, I couldn't let the delicate and fragile female lead, who would fall over in a gust of wind, carry it, could I? With a sudden burst of effort, I flung several large bags of clothes over my shoulder. I couldn't hold on, and the clothes dragged me backward. I fell flat on my backside in front of everyone. Su Wanwan and the sales assistant hurried over to help me up, hesitating to speak, then speaking hesitantly. Su Wanwan, "Are you all right, miss? Did you hurt yourself from the fall?" Saleswoman. "Miss Lin, if your butler isn't with you, we can arrange to have it delivered to your residence. You should have said so earlier." I nodded and agreed to the saleswoman's request for home delivery, then put my sunglasses back on to hide my embarrassment. With Su Wanwan's support, I limped toward the door. My butt seems to have gone a bit numb. The sales staff warmly saw me out, and no one mentioned the awkward incident from earlier. It really has to be a specialty store. They're professionally trained and generally don't laugh. Just as I walked out the door and turned the corner, a burst of laughter suddenly erupted from the store. "All right, unless I can't help it, Su Wanwan, they probably thought of something funny." Me, "All right, you don't need to say any more. I'm actually a bit anxious." Originally, after the male and female leads had their restaurant encounter, the female lead would be forced to work at the restaurant after staining the male lead's 1.7 billion yuan, as written by the original author, suit jacket. From then on, the two would gradually develop feelings for each other, embarking on a sweet romance before the physical and emotional torment began. Damn male lead, you even go after someone underage. I'll tell your dad you're dating early. But now that I've prevented the two from meeting and getting to know each other, I have no idea how the plot will unfold from here. My only advantage is knowing the original plot. Others who transmigrate into a book get their cheat abilities activated right away. I, on the other hand, broke my cheat ability as soon as I arrived. I curled up on the sofa, lost in deep thought. The butler gently knocked on the door. "Miss, dinner has been prepared as you requested with leg of pork. Would you like to dine now?" The butler is great in every way, except sometimes he's too elegant. Speaking in a refined manner that doesn't sound like normal conversation, "Su Wanwan, the butler said there's braised pork knuckle for dinner and asked if you want to eat now." Me, "Yes." Su Wanwan relayed the message. "The young lady has ordered that we eat immediately. Given the circumstances, let's eat first. It's fine to continue with the plot later, no matter how bad it gets. It's just a 9 to 5 job with a monthly income of 10,000. Could it possibly be worse than my reality of earning 4K a month while being on call like a workhorse? I watch the busy maids in the dining room. I resent it. Why can't I encounter a good boss like myself, with plenty of money and little work? Dinner was very enjoyable. I grabbed the braised pork knuckle and ate heartily, enjoying every bite. Truly a Michelin-level chef. Even the braised pork knuckle is made so delicious. Su Wanwan watched me giggle foolishly while eating her salad. The butler showed a pleased expression. It's been a long time since I've seen the young lady laugh so genuinely from the heart. I was so startled I almost dropped my braised pork knuckle. My cheap dad called to inform me that he's planning to return to the country. In the original story, when the female supporting character was very young, her father left her alone in an 800 square meter villa and went abroad to do business. He only hired 88 servants to take care of her and left her with 8 billion in pocket money. I'm puzzled. What kind of business leaves 8 billion in pocket money? The kind written in the criminal law. But in any case, the female supporting character was left alone, guarding boundless loneliness and countless riches. growing more and more paranoid as she grew older. Every day, she would scream, twist, and crawl in the darkness within the massive villa. She embarked on the path of no return, bullying the female lead and forcibly taking the male lead. This time, her father returned to the country, also intending to arrange a marriage alliance between the female supporting character and the male lead. The father and daughter teamed up to bully the female lead. I felt a bit annoyed. It really is a novel where everyone except the female lead is a villain, but I still went to pick her up at the airport. No choice. He's offering way more than my previous boss, way too much. I enthusiastically rushed over and called him Daddy. My cheap dad was so happy. He transferred me another huge sum of money. The number of zeros in the deposit notification was more than I've ever seen in Taikuli. Dad, you are now my real father. My father didn't show concern about my marriage, but instead chatted with me for a long time about family matters. He said he felt guilty for leaving me alone in the country, betraying the 17 years we had spent together. In the end, he was crying and wanted to wipe his tears on me. Fortunately, I dodged quickly. Finally, he urged me to go back to my room and sleep early, not to stay up late. I hesitated and asked, "Don't I need to marry into the Long family?" My father widened his small eyes. "Marry into the Long family? Are you dating someone already?" I waved my hands repeatedly, saying, No, it's fine if we don't connect. I'll head back to my room first." It seems the plot has become completely different because of my interference. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Early the next morning, I was startled by two people at the dining table who looked utterly exhausted. Su Wanwan and my father both had huge dark circles under their eyes as they turned to look at me. My father carefully began, Yen, if you really want to start a relationship, Dad won't stop you. But isn't it a bit early for you to be talking about marriage now?" For some reason, the words, "won't stop you," carried a slightly gritted teeth tone. Su Wanwan's tears fell pattering down. "Miss, could you please not like Long Batian? Whatever he can do for you, I can do too." "Hold on, what kind of drama is this?" While wiping Su Wanwan's tears, I explained, "My dear father, I thought you came back to pack me up and send me away. Please don't cry anymore. If anyone should be crying, it's me." I went to great lengths to explain, almost kneeling before them. Finally, I managed to calm them both down. Pointing at their dark circles, I asked, "Did you two stay up all night because of this?" My dad chuckled, scratching his head. Su Wanwan held the milk, sipping it slowly while looking everywhere but at me. After all that commotion, I ended up being late. The homeroom teacher was already used to my tardiness and early departures, pretending not to see me, but he saw Su Wanwan and stopped her. I turned my head. The homeroom teacher looked frustrated and withdrew his hand that was about to stop Su Wanwan. I turned my head back. This homeroom teacher is not a good person either. When the female supporting character bullied the female lead at school, he turned a blind eye. He also has another identity, the father of the male lead's white moonlight, Xia Lily. The female lead didn't actually have to live such a miserable life, but she couldn't help it because the male lead had a frail white moonlight. The white moonlight has kidney disease, so the male lead digs out the female lead's kidney. The white moonlight faints, so the male lead draws the female lead's blood. I clicked my tongue, an old-fashioned, melodramatic story. I started studying hard. The prerequisite for rescuing Su Wanwan from the male lead is to first protect myself and my family. I used to be a top student, but after so many years since graduating from university, coming back to look at high school problems feels like all my skills have vanished. Friends may betray me, lovers may abandon me, but math never will. If you don't get it, you just don't get it. No matter how hard you try to learn. I bit the end of my pen, wearing a deeply troubled expression. Su Wanwan chuckled softly and whispered, "You still love chewing on the end of your pen so much." I didn't catch what she said and pressed, "What?" She shook her head with a smile and fell silent. Soon, it was the season when the white moonlight fainted. I thought the male and female leads had no connection to this day, and Su Wanwan could stay away from those two lunatics. Who would have thought that the day after the white moonlight fainted, Long Batian came knocking on the door. "Long Batian, Su Wanwan, Lily fainted and needs someone to provide blood. Come with me." The plot is just too insane. "Do you know what blood type Su Wanwan is?" Long Batian snorted disdainfully. Such trivial matters are not worthy of my knowledge. Is her blood type compatible with your white moonlights before you gave the transfusion? Long Batian fell silent. Long Batian began to feel confused. Oh right, how can we give a blood transfusion without knowing the blood type? I patiently guided him. You should now apply to the hospital for a blood supply. Long Batian scratched his head. Oh, okay. He left in confusion. High school brats. Got them under control. Like all tragic romance novels, Xia Lily has a very rare blood type. Su Wanwan hesitated about whether to donate some blood, but I stopped her. She's just the female lead, not a savior. Xia Lily is just an unfamiliar name to me and to Su Wanwan. Why meddle in the fate of others? Once Su Wanwan donates blood for the first time, given the power of the male lead's family, they will definitely find us. And all the plot will return to its starting point. I am unwilling. Between Su Wanwan and Xia Lily, I always favor Su Wanwan, and, why would fainting require a blood transfusion? Even oxygen therapy would make more sense. Xia Lily was admitted to Long Batian's family's private hospital. Long Batian skipped class every day to take care of her, and his grades plummeted to the bottom. The Long family was frustrated by his lack of progress, but they couldn't help it since he was their only heir. It has to be a domineering CEO novel. In reality, wealthy families have illegitimate children all over the world, with constant power struggles, while in novels, the family has only one heir for 3 generations, and the male lead is the hope of the entire family. I was happy to take it easy, and by clinging to Su Wanwan's coattails, my grades improved by leaps and bounds. Su Wanwan also finally rose from the eternal second place to become number 1, no longer overshadowed by Long Batian. It seemed like everything was getting better, but Su Wanwan was still targeted by Long Batian. That day, she was wearing a white dress, standing downstairs waiting for me. It just so happened that Long Batian saw her, and Xia Lily's favorite thing to wear was a simple, unadorned pure white dress. I know you're anxious, but don't rush just yet. Su Wanwan watched me pacing around the room like a headless fly and offered a half-hearted consolation. I let out a sharp, piercing scream. Long Batian has sent you a friend request. Su Wanwan, he sent me a friend request, not a boyfriend request. I shook her head. Who are you? Why have you learned to talk back? Give me back my sweet and gentle Su Wanwan. Su Wanwan swayed with my force. This is called being influenced by bad company. I was truly anxious. So anxious that I couldn't fall asleep. I tossed and turned in bed, staring wide-eyed at the ceiling. You know, that chandelier on the ceiling is actually quite nice. I got up from the bed again and sat down at the desk, as if I had done it countless times before. I took out the diary hidden in the secret compartment of the desk. I was stunned. Why is there a secret compartment in the desk? How did I know there was a diary inside the secret compartment? I quietly opened the diary. Feeling as if some secret was about to be revealed before my eyes, a new transfer student has joined the class. She seems sweet and soft, so adorable. I want to ruffle her hair. She must be as fun to pet as a cat. Unfortunately, her seat is next to Long Batian, which is a bit far away. Why is she chatting and laughing with Long Batian? Damn it, why is she working at Long Batian's restaurant? How did they get together? No, Long Batian still has Xia Lily in his heart. I need to go talk some sense into her. Today, I gathered a few girlfriends to stop her and told her to stay away from Long Batian, but she seemed a bit scared of me. This is frustrating. I've given my girlfriends a mission. If they see the two of them together, they must separate them. That scumbag. Stay away from my pretty girl. She was bullied. Long Batian wants to take her kidney. What should I do? I begged my father to let me marry into the Long family. And he locked me in the room. I fasted for 3 days, with only a breath left, and my father finally agreed. If I'm with Long Batian, she should give up, right? Run, Su Wanwan. No matter how much you like someone, you can't be so selfless as to sacrifice your own organs. Silly girl. I couldn't stop her. She lay on the hospital bed, looking as if she were about to die. Can love really make someone so blind? I can't understand it. Long Batian seems to care a bit about Su Wanwan. When Su Wanwan gets hurt, he gets nervous. Ridiculous. Isn't it because of him that Su Wanwan got hurt? Crocodile tears. What a pretense. Su Wanwan is dead. I couldn't save her. Long Batian began to target me, blaming me for Su Wanwan's death. People like him never think they are wrong. He suppressed my family's business, deceived my father in my name to pave the way for himself, for my sake. My father handed over the business empire he had built with a lifetime of effort to him. I dragged my father down. He imprisoned me in the basement of his villa in the city center, feeding me like a dog. Why can the wicked roam free? I'm not willing to give up. I'm not willing to give up. I closed the diary and sat blankly at the desk. Whose diary is this? It's not mine, it's Lynn Ryan's. Then who am I? I wasn't originally called Lynn Ryan. What was my name again? I carefully recall my name. What is my name? I am Lynn Ryan. I am Lynn Ryan, or rather, I am the obsession of Lynn Ryan. I never thought about why I have the exact same name, the exact same hobbies, the exact same face and figure as before I transmigrated into the book. Even the placement of the bedside lamp is exactly the same as my habit. Because I am Lynn Ryan, I have endless regrets and obsessions. My obsession brought me back here, and my regrets have rewritten the ending of my previous life. Making it appear as perfect as possible, I ran to find Su Wanwan, determined to make her leave this place, whether it's transferring schools or going abroad. I can't let her die again. I knocked on Su Wanwan's door, but there was no answer. Instead, it was the butler who appeared at the end of the corridor. The butler held up a kerosene lamp, the flickering light casting shadows on his face. Miss, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. As an elegant noble, you should be resting in your room. I was startled and snapped. If you know it's 1 in the morning, why are you standing here with a candle, scaring people? The butler flicked on all the lights in the hallway with a sharp click. He silently set down the kerosene lamp. Please calm down, miss. That's how the training taught us. Me? What training? Butler. The origins of butlering and medieval etiquette. The tail note rises, with a hint of pride. Learn less about outdated etiquette. Butler. But, miss. Are you really planning to wake Miss Sue at 1 in the morning? That does seem rather inappropriate. I was so focused on reading the diary that I forgot to check the time. I followed step by step back to my own bedroom. It seemed as if I heard the butler mutter under his breath, "What a handful." I turned my head, and the butler was still standing there with a smile, watching me leave. I must have misheard. The butler, forever elegant. Su Wanwan was gone. The next day, she didn't come down for breakfast. I rushed upstairs and opened the door, but the room was empty. I scrambled and stumbled my way to the security room to check the surveillance footage. Su Wanwan had left in the evening and hadn't returned all night. While I reported it to the police, I mobilized everyone around me to search for her. Then I turned and entered Su Wanwan's room. She wouldn't leave without saying goodbye. She must have left some clues for me. Su Wanwan's room is much smaller than mine, but it's very cozy. I saw the plush teddy bears scattered haphazardly on her bed. TSK, typical little girl. On her desk lay a half-assembled building block set, resembling an unfinished blue chubby figure. The computer was turned off and required a password to start up. After a moment's thought, I entered her email address. SJTLLBTCCMM. I once thought it was a string of gibberish, until just now, when I typed it using her usual input method. Heinous Dragon Overlord I super password. Password correct. The moment the computer turned on, it was on the page searching for the phone. The location showed it was in the city center. With just one glance, it chilled me to the bone. It was the villa where I had been imprisoned for countless seasons. I called the bodyguards and told them to head to the villa first, and I would follow shortly. I also took the opportunity to call the police. After all, I am a good citizen of the 21st century. I had sent the driver out to look for someone, so for now, I had to go there myself. I look at the lineup of luxury cars in the garage, but I don't have a driver's license. I run out of breath, sprinting 2 miles before scanning a shared bike. This damn villa area not only doesn't allow ride-hailing cars to enter, but there isn't even a shared bike parking spot. Rich people have their own troubles too, but I have to ride a shared bike first to rescue the damsel in distress. I thought I would be playing out a scene of a little beauty saving a big beauty. Little did I know, what I saw was a large-scale arrest scene. Long Baishan's villa was turned upside down. Even the cockroach eggs were dug out and crushed. The police car wailed loudly. The male lead screamed and shouted. He was still wearing a pair of silver handcuffs. Su Wanwan was sitting nearby, wrapped in a blanket and sipping hot water, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. Without a second thought, I pushed through the crowd, shouting as I went, "Let me through, my friend is in there." The police officer said, "Don't worry, we're not from the fire department. There's no fire inside, and your friend is fine." I hugged Su Wanwan and burst into tears, crying uncontrollably. Su Wanwan tilted her head to look at me. "Are you really crying?" "Me, Su Wanwan. I was just pretending earlier." She laughed at me. I cried even louder. She asked with a hint of confusion, "Wasn't I the one who was kidnapped?" Su Wanwan comforted me for a long time, and I finally stopped crying. I took out my phone to use as a mirror, wiped my face, and saw the message Su Wanwan had sent me 20 minutes ago. Su Wanwan patted me and said, "Bring me a cup of mango pomelo sago, with shaved ice, 3 parts sugar, and no sago pearls." I recall that on the way. My phone kept vibrating in my pocket. I had no time to deal with it. As I pedaled the bike, sweating profusely, there was only one thought in my mind: damn legs, pedal faster. At this moment, Su Wanwan was longing for a mango pomelo sago with just a hint of sugar. In the end, it was all in vain. Long Batian went to pedal the sewing machine, attempted rape, and the other party is still a minor. The Long family appealed, saying the child is still young. The lawyer took out Long Batian's ID card and looked at it. Wow, they just turned 18, just in time to bear full criminal responsibility. I asked Su Wanwan what exactly happened that day. Su Wanwan would just shake her head each time and tell me, "It's a secret." She placed the completed blue fatty in my palm. What blue fatty held in his hand was my favorite strawberry. From Su Wanwan's perspective, my name is Su Wanwan. A poor student who was specially admitted to a prestigious high school based on my academic performance. On my first day of transferring schools, I was drawn to a girl in the corner. She was lying on the desk, sneakily looking around, then quickly stuffed a strawberry from the drawer into her mouth. It took me several days to learn her name, Lin Ruyan. She looked at me curiously, with no trace of malice in her eyes, unlike others whose probing gazes carried a hint of disdain. Although it's a special admission with full tuition waiver, I have to earn my own living expenses. I went to work at a restaurant, and as it happens, the restaurant is owned by my deskmate Long Batian's family. His family is very wealthy, I know, so when he showed me kindness, I accepted. I have no money. My gambling-addicted father owed a lot of debt. He jumped off a building, but I have to repay it. The fellow villagers who lent him money, each of them is struggling. Long Batian is my best stepping stone, but for some reason, Lin Ruyan is not willing. She came all the way here just to warn me, telling me to stay away from Long Batian. Could it be that she has taken a liking to Long Batian? But Long Outyen has a white moonlight in his heart. The white moonlight is in poor health and needs frequent blood transfusions. Coincidentally, my blood type matches hers. I willingly became her mobile blood bank, with my only demand being that for every drop of blood drawn, I receive an equivalent amount of money. However, on one occasion, I fainted from losing too much blood and woke up to find that Long Batian had taken one of my kidneys. Long Batian grabbed a stack of banknotes and scattered them in front of me, mockingly telling me that his beloved needed a kidney transplant and that I could name any price I wanted. I broke down in tears. Finally realizing what kind of demon I had encountered, I want to tell Lin Ruyan, "Don't like him, he is a complete devil." But I can't run away. The hospital belongs to Long Batian's family, and there are nurses watching me around the clock. In a daze, I heard that Lin Ruyan threatened her father by going on a hunger strike in an attempt to arrange a marriage with the Long family. Her father was so angry that he was fuming, but he still came to discuss it with Long Batian. Oh no, I thought to myself, I developed a postoperative infection. On an unnoticed morning, I died in the hospital bed. My soul drifted and drifted. Witnessing with my own eyes Long Batian imprisoning Lin Ruyan in the basement, I am so furious. I tried to lunge forward and tear that scumbag apart with my bare hands. XAOHU bot circle greater than anti-file watermarking circle greater than bookfinding robot heavy checkmark choose it and you're right, steady and reliable without stepping on landmines. But it was useless. I am just a soul. I can do nothing. I saw Lin Ruyan writing in her diary, with such force that the ink bled through the paper. So that's how it is. She has been protecting me all along. I really want to cry, but I am a soul, and I have no tears. I drifted along with Lin Ruyan, not knowing how many years passed, until she breathed her last breath. I felt a dizzying whirl, As if I were about to be reborn, I reached out to her, but only managed to grasp the diary beside her. I returned to the first day of my transfer with the diary in hand. Lin Ruyan specifically asked for me to be her desk mate. The first thing I did when I returned was to learn Sonda. The money Lin Ruyan gave me meant I no longer had to work part-time to make ends meet. I threw myself into the game, letting Long Batian see me as a substitute for Xia Lily. As expected, he kidnapped me and locked me in the basement of a villa in the city center. Idiot, I had already swallowed the tracking chip. He could search my entire body and still not find it. I installed an automatic alarm program on my computer that transmits my location in real time. I calculated the police response time and deliberately provoked him. When the police broke down the door, all they would see was him pinning me down, attempting to assault me. This time, it was Lin Ruyan and I who won. I gave her my favorite blue plush toy, silently saying in my heart, "Thank you, you saved me for the second time." After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After the redemption story's female lead appeared, I returned the well-trained male lead to her. The once wild and reckless boy grew into an elegant gentleman, and with their perfect match, there was naturally no room left for me. I lied to him, saying I was going to buy him osmanthus cakes from the north of the city. And then I left without a word, but little did I expect that 2 years later, I would be invited back to the country. As soon as I got off the plane, I was dragged into a car. "Sister," his voice carried a hint of madness. "It's been 2 years, where are my osmanthus cakes?" "Sister, someone is knocking at the door." I open my eyes, but my mind is still lingering in the dream from just moments ago. Su Jinan pushes the door open and enters. "Why aren't you awake yet? Did you not rest well last night?" I instinctively clutch the blanket tightly and say coldly, "How did you just come in?" The young man paused in his movements. "Sorry, I'll leave now." He left a cup of hot milk, and I got out of bed, rubbing my head, and poured the milk into the sink without hesitation. The milk had a thick, sticky texture and took a long time to flow down. At 14, Su Jinan was already quite skilled at disguising himself. At this time, he most enjoyed testing his newly developed medicines on people. This is a story of redemption within a wealthy family. As the male lead, Su Jinan was beaten and scolded by his parents since childhood, leading to a tragic childhood that resulted in a twisted personality. Though he appears gentle and refined on the surface, and I am the adopted daughter of the Su family, his non-blood-related older sister. We met again after growing up and were arranged to live together. On our first meeting, he prepared flowers for me, but that very night, a venomous snake emerged from the flowers. "Where did you catch the venomous snake?" At the breakfast table, I casually asked this as if making small talk. Su Jinan's expression remained unchanged, his demeanor calm. "What are you talking about, sister? I don't understand." He is 4 years younger than me, but a bit taller. She blinked as she said this, looking utterly innocent. I smiled, got up, and went to the kitchen to bring over a pot of soup. "That's true, you're still young. This is the soup I made this morning, to help nourish you." As I spoke, I served him a bowl. "Thank you, sister." Su Jinan smiled very sweetly, with gold-rimmed glasses, peach blossom eyes, a straight nose, and thin lips. His features were already exceptionally handsome even before fully maturing. Watching him take a sip of soup, I suddenly smiled and said, "The glasses suit you well." He paused for a moment and asked, "Sister, are you complimenting me?" "Yeah." I continued to smile. "It makes you look very obedient." "Su Jinan, let me ask you a question. Is snake soup poisonous?" The next second, he knocked over the soup bowl in his hand. The steaming soup spilled all over the floor, with some splashing onto him. I feigned surprise. "How could you be so careless? Did you get burned?" "No." Su Jinan took a deep breath, seemingly holding something back. "Thank you, I'm going to change my clothes. You can eat by yourself." Then, he stormed upstairs. I sat at the dining table, sighing with a smile, idly fiddling with the soup spoon. He's still young indeed, unable to hide his feelings, likes to study medicine. How come you don't even know that snake soup isn't poisonous? My school is very close to Su Jinan's. I attend University A, and he attends the affiliated high school of University A, therefore, we usually go to school together. Hurry up, you're going to be late. I waved to him from the car. A flicker of dark hostility passed over Su Jinan's face before it returned to its gentle, harmless expression. We sat in the back seat. The driver had already raised the partition, blocking the view of what was happening behind. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught the fading smile on Su Jinan's lips, and I couldn't help but let a slight curve form at the corner of my own mouth. Brother Jinan. I suddenly leaned closer to him and whispered, "Your skills are still not refined enough." His lips were pressed into a tight line, probably wondering how I had discovered his true nature. I took out a snake-shaped brooch and tossed it into his hand, smiling, "You're still young, you can't hide your tail." I awakened the day before I was to meet Su Jinan. Through dreams, I learned the entire plot. Since it was a redemption story, Su Jinan had been beaten, scolded, and abused since childhood, with a tragic upbringing. Bullying me and stirring up trouble were all standard elements. Before meeting the female lead, he would turn the family upside down until she saw through his disguise and redeemed him. But unfortunately, I am a modern-day parent. Whether they're acting crazy or mentally unstable, it's all treated as disobedience. Is your child always in a bad mood? Most likely, they're just pretending. A good spanking will fix it. The next day, Su Jinan's gaze toward me changed. Like a snake that had been lying in wait, it began to cautiously observe its prey. Preparing to strike. "Come, let's eat." I still smiled with my eyes curved into crescents. "Jinan, that soup yesterday was too unexpected. I've decided not to make it again, so don't look at me so warily." "You're not afraid of snakes." He snorted coldly and sat down. I kept staring at him with a smile. "Sister here isn't afraid of anything, really." Su Jinan's face showed no expression. "Then I'll try them one by one to see what you're afraid of." "All right." I lowered my gaze and suddenly said something completely unrelated. "When I was in the orphanage, my bed had everything from snakes to centipedes, cockroaches, and slugs. Your family has been good to me, and I haven't seen these bugs in a long time." Perfect timing. Let me see if I'm still afraid of them. Mr. Su and Mrs. Su were both very busy. Their marriage was arranged between families. Two hearts living under the same roof but far apart, each prioritizing their own interests. Su Jinan is one of their few common interests, and I am the one they feel at ease with, the one who can take care of him. Therefore, I was not at all surprised when I received a call from Su Jinan's homeroom teacher. "Hello, are you Su Jinan's sister?" What surprised me was the homeroom teacher's earnest and heartfelt words. "This child beat a classmate so badly they ended up in the hospital, which alarmed the school leadership, and he will face disciplinary action." To be honest, Su Jinan is a child who knows how to put on an act. From a young age, he has been an exemplary student, earning praise from teachers and classmates alike, often described as gentle and refined, or mature and steady. Even if this little viper really couldn't stand someone and gave them a rash-inducing poison, it had never been discovered before, but this time, the nature of the incident was different. "Why did you assault your classmate?" In the office stood only Su Jinan. The classmate he had beaten had already been taken to the hospital. I saw his photo. His face was bruised and swollen, and his body looked even worse. It was clearly a blow meant to kill. The homeroom teacher slammed the desk hard. "Do you realize that if you had hit any harder, you could have killed someone?" Su Jinan remained motionless, just glancing at us expressionlessly. That look sent an inexplicable chill down one's spine. It was a side of him I had never seen before. The homeroom teacher was about to continue venting her anger, but in the very next second, I stood up, my actions faster than my thoughts. "Teacher, let me talk to him alone. There must be some misunderstanding. Our Su Jinan is not such a violent person. Why did you hit someone?" This was the third time I had asked him this question. Su Jinan still didn't speak, turning his head to look outside with a rather cold expression. Ineffective communication. I was so angry at this rebellious little brat. "Not going to talk? Fine, do whatever you want then. I'm leaving. You'd better make it back alive from your parents." Su Jinan's parents were extremely strict with him. Getting first place every year was just the bare minimum, not to mention following rules and obeying the law. If anything didn't go their way, they would beat Su Jinan half to death. I held my forehead, silently thinking to myself, why wasn't he just beaten to death? "Are you worried about me?" Su Jinan suddenly spoke, looking down at me, his expression inexplicably docile. "Shouldn't you be wishing for my death?" I was taken aback. That being said, he is only 14 years old after all. Having grown up with this kind of upbringing, it's already impressive that he can pretend to be a good student. If I really wanted you dead, I would have told your parents long ago. I sighed and said, besides, you haven't been throwing poisonous insects into my room anymore either. The next day, I took Soo-jin into the school again. The homeroom teacher's anger had not subsided and even extended to me. What exactly is going on? Is Soo-jin going to apologize or not? Where are his parents? Why is it always you coming? What good are you? That classmate is still in the hospital getting an 4 drip right now. Soo-jin's hands suddenly clenched into fists. I noticed and reached out to take his hand, soothingly stroking it, but I didn't notice his body stiffened slightly. Teacher, you should be glad he's on an 4 right now, I said with a gentle smile, but I slid a USB drive across the table. Otherwise, if it were me, I might have beaten this classmate half to death. On the USB drive was a recording made by a female classmate who witnessed the entire incident that day. After school, Soo-jin stayed behind to do cleaning duty and was harassed by that classmate. Hey, look at the fake high-end mighty, finally willing to clean up by yourself today. We were just saying, you fatherless, motherless thing, you were born to be beaten by cleaning tools, weren't you? The Soo couple kept a low profile. Not only not sending Soo-jin to a private school but also never showing their faces. The clothes they gave him to wear were also very old, and the tasks they set were extremely strict. If he failed to complete them, he would be beaten. Over time, rumors spread at school that he had no parents. Fighting is Soo-jin's sore spot. Finally, the homeroom teacher's face turned red and then green. I just held Soo-jin's hand and said coldly, I demand that you, that student, and his parents all publicly apologize to Soo-jin. Don't say I didn't warn you. Our Soo family has money, keeps a low profile, but holds grudges. Lin Shi. Soo-jin knocked on the door. Without turning my head, I said, come in, is there something you need? He held a few white roses still damp with dew in his hand, hesitating a bit. The roses in the garden have bloomed, so I cut some for you to put in the vase in your room. I raised an eyebrow and turned to look at him. Soo-jin placed the flowers in the vase. The white blooms looked quite lovely. Why aren't you calling me sister anymore? I suddenly spoke up. I remember when I first arrived, you used to call me sister with every word. Soo-jin looked utterly bewildered. I laughed again. And why aren't there any venomous snakes hidden in the flowers today? Stop tormenting the snakes in the garden. They're quite pitiful with you bothering them all day. The young man had never learned how to apologize. Fresh roses in the room, steaming milk on the dining table, and even a mysterious black card that had inexplicably appeared in the bag. Keep it for yourself. I tossed the black card onto the table. Your parents only gave it to you, and it mysteriously ended up with me. What would they think if they saw it? Soo-jin lowered his head slightly to look at me, pursed his lips, looking very obedient. I sighed. I'm not holding a grudge over what happened before. I didn't say I was apologizing either. Teenagers are always saying one thing but meaning another. He stuttered a bit as he said this, being adorably tsundere. After that, he left with one more remark. If you don't buy some nice clothes, you won't look like you belong in our family. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so that afternoon, I went to the mall. Just as I was almost done shopping, someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder. It was a lovely girl, not stunning, yet somehow impossible to look away from. Hello. Her smile carried a hint of scrutiny. Miss Supporting Character, how is my brother Jinan doing under your guidance? Returning this to you. I returned home with a large pile of bags, tossing the black card onto the desk. Soo-jin didn't take it. Instead, he glanced at the spoils of war behind me. Do you women always shop this much when you go out? I raised an eyebrow. What? Are you worried about the money? No. He averted his gaze, his tone suddenly softening. You didn't bring a bodyguard, so if you can't carry everything, you could bring someone to help you. How did you know I didn't bring a bodyguard? Soo-jin's words trailed off. I couldn't help but laugh, reaching out to ruffle his hair. Next time you buy something, take me along to help you carry it. The awkward teenager turned his head away, his tone stiff. We'll talk about it next time. Soo-jin is actually still just a child. How bad can a child who is truly loved really be? The next day, I received a call from the homeroom teacher. After learning Soo-jin's true identity, he became noticeably more polite. I have already explained the previous misunderstanding to that student's parents. After discussion, We decided to publicly apologize to Su Jinan during today's flag-raising ceremony. Do you have time to come on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Su? At that moment, Su Jinan was standing beside me, listening with an expressionless face. I smiled and said, "All right, I'll come." He was so polite to you. Was there something else in the USB drive you gave him that day? He asked. I slowly put down my phone and sighed. You're really clever, Jinan. Your homeroom teacher, that snob, probably gave you a hard time before. So I also found evidence of him privately accepting red envelopes from parents and backed it up on the USB drive as a threat. Su Jinan remained silent for about half a minute. Just when I thought he wouldn't speak, a warm touch suddenly came from above my head. Got it, he said, deliberately messing up my hair as if to get back at me for patting his head earlier. Don't keep calling me little brother. During the flag-raising ceremony, Su Jinan and I stood at the very front. He was wearing the new clothes I bought for him, looking clean and handsome, yet exuding a coldness that kept others at a distance. The student on the stage is the one reading his apology letter. After finishing, he even bowed, as if Su Jinan were some important leader. Thanks to you, future Mr. Su, I whispered teasingly. Su Jinan didn't say a word, but his hand mischievously tugged at the rabbit ears on my hoodie. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively glanced toward the audience. This glance was no small matter. No classmates had noticed us, but someone else had. Hi, the female lead I had met at the mall that day was standing at the very edge, smiling brightly. She mouthed the words, Lin Shi, well done. Then, she turned and left. Life went on in this ordinary, uneventful way. Su Jinan, like every high school student, had very few holidays and would stay up late doing homework at home. Occasionally, I would catch him sneaking off to the basement where he mixed his medications to tinker around. If you do anything else that endangers public safety, I'll have the police confiscate all this mess of yours. I cornered Su Jinan at the door and threatened him. By this time, he was almost an adult, standing a full head taller than me. He looked down at me with no sign of remorse in his eyes. I was wrong. His words sounded sincere, but his hand had somehow found its way to the hem of my clothes. Holding on tightly, bend down a bit. I inexplicably felt a bit awkward. I can't hear you. Su Jinan obediently leaned over. The distance suddenly closed. His eyes fixed intently on me. Without his glasses, he seemed to carry a certain aggressiveness, but the next second, I suddenly pulled him closer, our noses touching. He was caught off guard. Lin Shi. But I didn't respond. I pulled his clothes open. What happened to the bruise here? Su Jinan was already in his third year of high school. More than 2 years had passed since the meeting with the female lead. Is that the male lead's black card in your hand? He's treating you so well. That time in the mall, she asked me, according to the plot, shouldn't he be tormenting you to the brink of death? What about you? Why are you appearing now? I looked at her warily, taking a few steps back to create some distance. The female lead is named Fu Shi, just as described in the book. She has an innocent appearance. Not as strikingly beautiful as the supporting female characters, yet she carries her own aura, drawing attention wherever she goes. Of course, it's because I've awakened too. Fu Shi smiled sweetly, but for some reason, I found it hard to get close to her. Lin Shi, she enunciated each word heavily. I have no desire to deal with a rebellious teenager. I looked up. What do you want to do? Oh, don't be so wary, she giggled. You know, the plot cannot be reversed. We all must abide by it. Su Jinan will still belong to me in the end, and you cannot change your fate as the supporting female character. Since that's the case, your task is to teach him well on my behalf, and in doing so, you'll also repay the Su family. Su Jinan started avoiding me. He refused to talk about the bruises on his body. My attempts to press him for answers were fruitless, and for a moment, I didn't know what to do. We fell into a cold war. Until one day, I received a phone call. The voice on the other end sounded familiar, sweet yet hollow. Fu Shi laughed over the receiver. It's been 2 years, let's meet. Lin Shi. I never really knew Fu Shi's identity, apart from the fact that she was the female lead and I was the supporting female character, and that she seemed to be around our age. I knew nothing about her. On the contrary, she knew me very well. Why haven't I seen you go back to the orphanage? Winter had long since arrived. The waiter brought over the hot coffee. And Fu Shi blew on the cup before leisurely asking me, Or do you really think that after spending a few years with the Su family, you can turn into a phoenix and soar to the highest branch? None of your business, I said coldly. She smiled. You know nothing about me. Fu. She had a better grasp of the plot than I did. Not only did she know my background, but she also appeared right after I had dealt with Su Jinan and gave me a mission. I really don't know her. Then are you so sure that Su Jinan will obey your every command? Fu. She suddenly burst into laughter. She put down her coffee, her eyes crinkling with a smile. Wouldn't he fall in love with me, the female lead, rather than you? After half a month of Cold War with Su Jinan, I finally found time to go back home. I decided to test the waters and ask about his relationship status, since this is a redemption story, when the task of the female lead redeeming him falls on me. The entire plot should change. The factor that changes the story is the protagonist's inclination. I don't believe a book where the characters are awakened can follow a predetermined trajectory, but I'm also not sure if he feels the same about me. Beep beep beep, beep beep beep. I waited until dark, but Su Jinan still hadn't returned. I called 3 times, but no one answered. With less than half a year left until the college entrance exam, he would usually come home early to study. Even on days when he had cleaning duty, something was off today. I thought of the bruises on his body again, grabbed my keys, and headed to the school to find him. Bang, but the next second, the front door was smashed open as if by something heavy. Standing at the top of the stairs, I froze in place when I saw the dark figure behind the door. It was Su Jinan. The one who had just smashed through the door was Su Jinan, kicked by Mr. Su, and slammed against it. His lips were stained with blood, his face pale, and he collapsed weakly to the ground. I didn't have time to rush forward and help him up. Then I saw Fu Shi running out from behind Mr. Su. She covered her mouth, like a helpless little white flower. Please calm down, Jinan didn't mean it. I didn't know what had happened. All I remember is Fu Shi's fragile and pitiful demeanor. And Su Jinan lying on the ground, barely breathing. Su Jinan woke up again, this time in the hospital. You're awake. Su Jinan had slept for a full day and night. His left arm was fractured, and he had bruises all over his body. When he opened his eyes, his mind was still somewhat foggy, as if he might shatter at any moment. I held his palm, but my own hand inexplicably couldn't stop trembling, repeatedly checking on his condition. I'll go call the nurse, don't cry. Su Jinan's fingertips brushed over the corner of my eye, leaving a slight dampness. I didn't even realize I was crying. Aren't you, always the one who hates crying? I turned my head away, sniffing. You're seeing things. He smiled, then winced as the movement tugged at his wounds. I pressed the call button by the bedside, waited for the nurse to arrive, and then asked him with difficulty, what on earth is going on? My conversation with Fu Shi that day ended with her displeasure. Before leaving, she left a remark, even if he falls in love with someone else, he can only choose me. He cannot go against the plot. The plot I thought was the forced coincidences in the book, but I never expected that Fu Shi would be Mr. Su's most satisfactory marriage candidate. Are you still feeling unwell anywhere? After the nurse left, I poured Su Jinan a cup of warm water and fed him a little with a spoon. His eyes were bright and fixed on me, whenever I hurt my hand. You'll feed me like this, right? For some reason, I felt his gaze was a bit fervent. This sentence also carried a strange undertone. Yes, I pursed my lips, but you still shouldn't get hurt. It pains me to see it. Su Jinan seemed not to have expected me to answer this way, visibly taken aback for a moment. I sighed and fed him another bite. Why on earth didn't you tell me that the classmate didn't make a mistake? He didn't say anything. I pretended to be angry, still not saying anything. Do I have to see you beaten to a cripple by your dad before you'll speak up? The atmosphere fell silent for 2 seconds, and he finally said, that bastard took photos of you and spread rumors. I never thought Su Jinan would be because of me. That classmate wasn't convinced, but he also knew he couldn't push back too hard, so he realized he could use me. He photoshopped your picture onto a small card to threaten me, saying if I didn't kneel to him, he'd spread it everywhere. Because after the public apology, the whole school knew you were at University A. I am well aware of how harmful such things can be to a girl. Even if we remain innocent, I don't want you to suffer even the slightest harm, because you are my sister. So for over 2 years, Su Jinan has been enduring silently for my sake, hiding his injuries whenever he had them. It wasn't until a few days ago that he finally smashed that person's phone and threw away the USB drive containing my photos. Finally freeing himself, he beat that person up and used chemicals from the basement to intimidate him. It was originally seamless, but for some reason, Mr. Sue found out. He smashed the basement and beat Soo Jinan until he suffered a fracture. With only 1 month left before the college entrance exam, Soo Jinan stayed in the hospital to study on his own and went directly to take the exam. His hand wouldn't recover before the college entrance exam, but fortunately, it was his left hand that was injured, not his right. When I pushed open the door to the hospital room, Soo Jinan wasn't there. Through the window, I saw Fushi pushing him in the garden below, basking in the sun. Soo Jinan was smiling. The atmosphere between the two seemed quite pleasant. For some reason, my heart tightened, and I turned my head away. Lin Shi, Mr. Sue. I quickly turned my head and greeted in a low voice. What brings you here? Not busy, just came to take a look, Mr. Sue appeared refined and cultured, a stark contrast to his violent demeanor that day. We stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, watching the two figures in the garden below. These past few days while you were away, Fushi took care of him for quite a while. Mr. Sue suddenly spoke up. The Fu family's youngest daughter has a good temperament and is articulate, far more pleasing to the eye than that boy. They actually make a good match. I plan to arrange their engagement once Jinan graduates. I lowered my gaze and nodded. Indeed, you've been with Jinan for so long, it's perfect timing. Once he graduates, you should also prepare to go study abroad. Lin Shi, you know, both my wife and I hold you in high regard. The future Sue family will need you, but Jinan does not. It hits the nail on the head. Mr. Sue actually knows everything. He was just reminding me. All right, I understand. After he left, I kept watching Fu Shi and Soo Jinan in the garden. They all had faint smiles on their faces. It seems he has never been gentle with any girl other than me. So, this is the female lead. The college entrance examination ended quickly. On that last day, I went to pick him up with a bouquet of flowers. Lin Shi, Soo Jinan's left hand was not very mobile, but it didn't stop him from hugging me. The young man carried the clean scent of lemon. He took the flowers from my hand with a smile, as if he had never been so happy before. Shall we go eat? Does he know that he's going to get engaged once the college entrance exams are over? I was taken aback for a moment, and suddenly my phone screen lit up. It was Fu Shi. She said, the flight is at 5 in the afternoon. I'll see you off. It's fine. He definitely doesn't know that I'll be leaving right after the college entrance exams are over. Lin Shi, why are you spacing out again? This is the third time Soo Jinan has asked me this question. Throughout the meal, I kept zoning out. Sorry. I poured a glass of water and lied without changing my expression. I didn't rest well last night. Why? Worried about your college entrance exam. Soo Jinan smiled. He seemed very happy today, happier than any day before. Then you can sleep well tonight. It is now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. To catch the flight, Fushi asked me to leave at 3. We finished our meal quickly, and Soo Jinan and I stood on the street. Because we both stood out in appearance, people kept glancing at us. Young man, your girlfriend is so pretty. Would you like to buy a flower? An elderly flower seller approached us. I was taken aback and hadn't even had time to refuse when Soo Jinan paid for it. Just one will do. Thank you. Before I could react, I found myself holding a white rose with dew still on it. Just one, I thought with his grand gesture. He would have bought them all without hesitation, but Soo Jinan just shook his head with a smile. Just one, I only need one. Soo Jinan is very happy today, even though I don't know why he's so happy. Lin Shi, let's go to Baiyuan today. I'll go get you something to eat. I interrupted first. Soo Jinan stopped smiling. Didn't we just finish eating? I've been wanting to try the osmanthus cake from that shop in the north of the city for a long time. I smiled at him, gently holding his arm as I pleaded. I've always wanted to bring some for you to try. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I want to do it today. Perhaps it was my feigned sincerity that moved him. Soo Jinan pursed his lips and nodded. It was now 2:55. Turning around and looking through the building across the street, I spotted the car parked by the roadside. In the driver's seat sat Fu Shi, clutching a white rose tightly in my hand. I got into the car. Fu Shi glanced at me. You can only take one rose with you. I didn't make a sound. I just leaned back in the seat. slowly covering my eyes with the flowers. As the worthless female supporting character in this redemption story, a single rose was enough to buy out these 3 years between him and me. I studied a finance-related major, although Mr. Su was a violent person. His status and financial resources allowed me to complete my studies smoothly and graduate from a world-renowned institution. 5 years had already passed by then. I finally had time to go to the bank to check the card that had been receiving stable deposits. This is the card Mr. Su gave me for living expenses abroad, but I hardly ever use it. I earn money by doing odd jobs myself and only take it out as a last resort. It wasn't until today that I realized no money has been deposited into this card for a long time. Can we check which domestic bank made the last transfer to this card? The bank's trusted employee is Chinese. He joked with me, if you have time to check where the transfers come from, why not go back and take a look? In the 5 years abroad, I never went back once. Not only that, to completely break free from the destined romance between Su Jinan and Fu Shi as the male and female leads, I also changed my phone number and deleted all their contact information. This is all Mr. Su's intention. To put it bluntly, aside from this card, it seems I have no ties left with the Su family. Mr. Su's intention back then was that when the time came, he would send someone abroad to notify me to return. Driving me out was for the sake of Su Jinan and Fu Shi's relationship. Bringing me back was to ensure the investment in me pays off. But now, I haven't received any notification. I decided to buy a plane ticket and return to my home country. 5 years have passed, and Su Jinan should have already graduated from university, smoothly getting married right after graduation following the engagement. Fu Shi skipped the redemption stage and directly achieved a happy ending with him, and at this time, I returned, truly becoming Su Jinan's sister, his helper. While packing my things, the landlady asked me, "Bringing so much, are you planning to come back?" I thought for a moment and replied, "I will return, but I also want them to come back with me and see the land of our homeland." With that, I tossed a small bottle inside. Inside the bottle was a stack of dried flower petals. It was the rose that Su Jinan gave 5 years ago. "Are you okay, ma'am?" As soon as I got off the plane, I rushed to the restroom to throw up. I get airsick, so even when I'm abroad, I rarely go out. Forget about dating, I hardly even socialize. I waved my hand, "I'm fine. Thank you." Dragging my luggage out of the airport, I stood by the roadside struggling for a long time, still unable to figure out how to use the domestic ride-hailing apps. Beep beep, a taxi pulled over. Frustrated by the hassle, I simply got into the car. "Where to?" "Su Group Building. Can you find the way?" Due to airsickness, I kept my eyes closed to rest along the way. It was only when I first got in the car that I noticed a white rose placed inside. This made me instinctively glance at the driver in the rearview mirror. He seemed quite young, wearing a black baseball cap and a black mask, and didn't speak much. Aside from the first sentence, he didn't say another word. I closed my eyes and leaned back in the seat to rest. It wasn't until the car came to a stop that I opened my eyes, and by then, there was no longer any noise from the road in my ears. My heart skipped a beat. The surroundings outside the car felt strangely familiar. The suburbs. A villa, a golf course visible in the backyard. "We're here." At that moment, I seemed to sense something. I turned my head and looked toward the driver's seat. The young man, who had taken off his hat and mask, had very fair skin, which made his eyes appear even redder. "Sister, why did you only come back now?" My mind went completely blank. I never imagined I would reunite with Su Jinan in such a way, so suddenly. I had long hypnotized myself many times into believing that I was the supporting female character in this book. I redeemed the male lead for Fu Shi, fulfilled her mission, and repaid the Su family's kindness, so she reappeared. I stepped back, achieving their happy ending, and the book concluded just like that. Yet I never considered what would happen after the ending. "What about the osmanthus cake you mentioned?" Su Jinan forced a smile. "The one in the north of the city closed down before my college entrance exams. He even came looking for me." I didn't know what to do for a moment. I turned my head away, thinking I could ignore his reddened eyes. Don't cry." That day when Su Jinan woke up after being beaten unconscious, he said this to me, but after abandoning him, I came back again and made him cry. "Su Jinan, don't." "Enough." He suddenly got out of the car, then he yanked open my car door. Pulled something out from behind, and roughly dragged me out. Click. My right hand was handcuffed, the other end attached to Su Jinan's wrist. His voice still carried a sob. Lin Shi, you'll never get a second chance in this lifetime. It was very sudden. Even after sitting in what used to be my own bedroom, I still felt a sense of unreality. A red mark had appeared around my right wrist, left by the handcuffs just moments before. Su Jinan saw it and unlocked it. Then viciously threw the handcuffs into the trash can. Bad thing. He was cursing the handcuffs. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but when I saw him, I felt my nose sting. He has grown taller. 5 years is enough to shape a boy into a man. Su Jinan's hair was a bit shorter, neatly trimmed. He wore a black shirt, and the sports watch on his wrist had long been replaced by a luxury timepiece worth millions. Lin Shi. He came over and hugged me. From behind, he held me tightly, burying his head down, rubbing against me while breathing heavily, like a large dog that had been wronged. You, let go first. He ignored me. No matter how I tried to coax him, it was useless. All he kept saying was, "You're trying to trick me again." I had nothing to say. The warmth in the room was only interrupted when someone knocked on the door. I heard that person call Su Jinan, President Su. That was when Mr. Su was still around. The assistant's way of addressing me, "Hello, I'd like to ask about Su Jinan's marital status." "Oh, what are you joking about? Aren't you the future Mrs. Su? The master just found you again, and he's suffered so much these past few years. He must have already started preparing for your wedding, right? The young aunt has always been blessing us." I paused, speechless. No outsider here has ever mentioned Fu Shi. 5 years ago, Fu Shi, whose engagement banquet was already set in stone. In the original book's plot, it was mentioned that everyone favored her, even the working aunties liked her very much, but the current situation, looking down from the balcony, Su Jinan is discussing work with his assistant in the courtyard. I can only ask him what exactly is going on. "Sister, eat this." Su Jinan kept putting food in my bowl. His hand, with its distinct knuckles, held the chopsticks firmly. Picking up food without hesitation, I hesitated again and again, but finally asked, "Where's Fu Shi?" The atmosphere fell silent for a moment. Su Jinan didn't speak, or perhaps, Mr. Su, dead. This time he answered quickly, "What? He's dead. Cerebral hemorrhage. Couldn't be saved." My eyes widened. In my memory, Mr. Su exercised regularly and shouldn't have ended his life so quickly. They all suspect I did it. Su Jinan suddenly said again, "Sister, what do you think?" Indeed, it was my doing, yet he was remarkably candid. I pressed my lips together, unsure of what to say, but just then, Su Jinan suddenly smiled. He wanted to hit me again, but that time I fought back, and he couldn't beat me. He was so angry he died. "Sister, do you want to guess where Fu Shi went after my dad died?" "When I went abroad that year, at the airport, only Fu Shi saw me off. Just before I left, she suddenly called out to me, 'Guess what happened between me and Su Jinan when you came back?' I didn't even turn my head. Very happy, she smiled. Then walked over and whispered in my ear, 'Just like the day you saw me pushing him out to get some sun in the hospital. Back then, we must have been pushing the stroller together like this too.' Su Jinan did not put me under house arrest. He couldn't bear to treat me that way. He just wouldn't let me leave the house. The basement door was locked. When I arrived, the lock on the door wasn't new, but it was clean, without any dust. It must have been opened many times recently. Oh dear. What brings you here? Upon seeing me, the aunt hurried over to pull me away. You shouldn't come here in your condition. It's not clean. What's going on inside? In my memory, it used to be Su Jinan's pharmacy. It was just smashed by Mr. Su. The aunt refused to say, "This is not a place you should come to. Has he been here recently?" Unable to resist my persistence, the aunt finally nodded, and as I left, I already had the answer in my heart. A beast only obeys its tamer. Rather than the show-off host on stage, Sister, Su Jinan got drunk. When he came back, he reeked of alcohol and clung to me, refusing to let go. Let go? No, if I let go, you'll run away again. I heard a sob in his voice. I never realized before how much he cries. I sighed. You're watching me so closely now. How could I possibly run away? He didn't speak. I stared at him, and suddenly an idea came to mind. Sister, you, be good. My hands had already torn open the collar of his clothes. Su Jinan hadn't changed. When drunk, he was very obedient, allowing me to do whatever I wanted without any resistance. Yesterday, I saw a maid outfit in the closet. Most likely, it was a gift from someone trying to curry favor with him, with a brand new pair of handcuffs placed on top. This child has grown up to be quite outrageous. Why are you taking off my clothes? The suit was thrown on the floor. I tied the bow of that maid outfit around his neck and said casually, I miss you. Su Jinan stared at me without blinking. Do you love me? I lowered my gaze to look at him. It doesn't matter whether you love me or not. He suddenly buried his head against me. I love you. I only love you. I want Fushi to get out. I don't want them to stop me. No one can stop him now. I sighed and gently hugged him. Who said I don't love you? I smoothly found the key from Su Jinan's clothes. He was drunk, sleeping soundly. Left unconscious in the bedroom. Creak, this basement door. Over a decade old, was the first time I had ever pushed it open. I thought I would see Fushi, but I never expected to see an entire wall covered with photos, my certificates, my photos, the few dresses I had ever worn. In the photos, there was me when I first arrived, me just starting to get used to gardening in the yard, me cooking noodles for Su Jinan in the kitchen. I knew there was an auntie at home who especially loved taking photos of us. I just didn't expect that after I left. Su Jinan was alone, guarding all my photos, freezing time for so long. On the ground lay a tattered, open notebook. I picked it up, facing one of its pages. Lin Shi, densely packed. All my name. I found Fushi in the basement compartment. It's pitch dark here. Not even a mouse would bother to visit. You, it's me. She sat on that small bed. Her wrists and ankles were bound with heavy iron chains. Her entire body had become much thinner, and her eyes were vacant. As if she had been imprisoned for a very, very long time. You're that. I am Lin Shi. She paused briefly in response. Then, she suddenly burst into laughter. All right, you're back. Let me go. It seemed she had forgotten. She was the dazzling female lead, while I was merely the supporting character paving the way for her. The story didn't reach its intended conclusion either. Instead, it spiraled into this irredeemable situation today. Fushi. Aren't you the female lead? Where's your halo? She stared at me blankly. Then, like a frightened mental patient, she kept shrinking into the corner. No, I'm not. No. I'm not the female lead. Lin Shi is. I recalled the news I finally managed to get from Su Jinan's assistant that day. 5 years ago, Mr. Su died unexpectedly. Subsequently, the youngest daughter of the Fu family, Fushi, went missing, and the marriage agreement was called off. So, this is not a disappearance. It was Su Jinan who forced her to disappear. On the night I met Fushi, I had another dream. After 5 years, I saw the plot again, but this time, there was nothing in the plot. No Su Jinan from childhood. There was no Fushi who arrived late. There wasn't even me, nor any interaction between characters. I only saw 3 lines: female lead, Lin Shi, male lead, Su Jinan, Honkai story repair in progress, penalizing interfering female supporting character, Fushi, ending hint, love the one you love, sister. Su Jinan woke up, just like the first day. He pushed the door open with a glass of milk in hand, staring at me without blinking. However, he was still wearing the ill-fitting maid outfit I had put on him last night. I rubbed my forehead and said, change out of that, don't you like it? Su Jinan took my hand and pressed his cheek against my palm, his voice soft. Sister, I'm willing to do anything you ask. He looks the most innocent and harmless, but I just gently touched his face and whispered softly, then let Fushi go. Okay. His body stiffened, and the next second, I threw myself into his arms. Because, I'm back, I won't leave you again. Fushi had already been driven mad by Su Jinan. So he also learned from her what we call the plot and the supporting female character, and Fushi deceived us. The plot was originally written by the protagonist, which is why she ended up with such a self-inflicted outcome. I don't believe in the plot. His voice was so firm. Lin Shi, if it's not you, I don't want anyone else. I have never felt so clearly the happiness of being firmly responded to, yet, there is no one who can stop it now. Fushi was already no different from a madwoman. At times she would throw her head back and laugh heartily, at other times she would wail and sob, her intelligence resembling that of a 3-year-old child. Su Jinan sent her to a welfare home, where caregivers would guide her in daily tasks. The day before she was sent away, we were in the midst of preparing for our engagement. Do you pity her? Su Jinan asked me. I shook my head. She's not worth it. These 5 years were caused by her own actions, so, her outcome isn't called pitiful. It's called deserved. On the day we got engaged, Mrs. Su returned from the temple. After Mr. Su's death, she seemed to have a sudden enlightenment and moved directly to the temple, saying she wanted to atone for his sins. When Su Jinan was a child, she actually knew about the abuse he suffered. Lin Shi, come here. Lady Su placed a bracelet on my wrist. She held my hand and smiled. Congratulations. You weren't deceived by the plot. I widened my eyes. Could it be that you, Shu? Lady Su smiled. Not me, it was the one who passed away, the unredeemed male lead. How tragic the next generation is. Thus, Mr. Su vented all his fury on Su Jinan, and as for Mrs. Su, who is merely a supporting female character, her sins run deep. Jinan's future is now in your hands. Jinan, may your future be splendid, and may you have peace year after year, and in the future where I am present. Tragedy will not repeat itself, sister. Su Jinan is holding a bouquet of flowers, this time. It's not white roses, but the most passionate red. We're already engaged. Why are you still calling me sister? Today, the villa garden is unusually lively. That Mr. Su, who is always seen as unpredictable in the eyes of everyone, seems to have been taken over by someone else today, with a smile in the corners of his eyes and brows. I don't know, he chuckled softly. Do you remember the first time we met? I called you sister back then too, I remember. You even threw a venomous snake at me. Su Jinan leaned in closer. So today, we'll bring it full circle. From now on, I won't call you sister anymore. How about fiancé instead? Of course, the sun today is warm and cozy, as if our burning joy has even touched the white clouds. Su Jinan bowed his head and reverently placed the engagement ring on my finger. I smiled and asked him what he was thinking, wondering what it will be like on the day I truly marry you. In these days when the grass grows and orioles fly, every day of ours feels like a devout confession of love.